here. It's right right in a little bit of a northern part of Miraflores. Nice area. But anyways, I wanted to go over some of the Tron projects that I've been in, which haven't been as good over the recent history since they kind of updated to their new project or their new staking protocol where you had to freeze a lot of Tron, and I think that pushed a lot of people out of the Tron space for quite some time. And you can kind of see that, like if you look at some of the analytics with Tron here, you can see that right now the number one DApp is Tron Case. You've got a couple of exchanges, Uniswap, Just Swap. There was a few down the list here. This Pandora Dex I was kind of checking out, but it's changed quite a bit from like when I originally got into a lot of the DApps. There was a lot of activity on the Tron network. I don't feel like there's the same activity there anymore. The daily active users have dropped a little bit, and so it's a little bit of a different ecosystem. A lot of those cheap transactions moved to the Binance Smart Chain and now to Polygon, and Phantom's kind of the new one that I've kind of mentioned and talked about that are going to be up and coming, second layer blockchain solutions that will have a lot of innovation on them and a lot of opportunity. And those are ones I'm going to be getting a lot more into here in the near future. But I did want to at least just kind of cover some of the Tron projects that I've been in and kind of how those have been going and kind of where I see some of the opportunity in the near future. Because I do feel like there might be some like long-term plays, but for the most part, like Tron dApps aren't necessarily what they used to be. There was a lot of high-risk dApps about a year ago, and there was a lot of opportunity to make money on some of those. A lot of them were all kind of like zero-sum projects where they didn't have a whole lot of feeders to the project, so they eventually they weren't sustainable, and a lot of them collapsed. I think that there's I think the biggest one that there's been a few big ones I've been in. So Bankroll has been one that I'm still holding onto that one, and I'm still a believer in that project. I'm hoping that there's going to be some more development behind that. Right now, the Flow project, which is kind of the big one in terms of like the flagship DApp for the Bankroll ecosystem, in order to get other people involved, kind of had an MLM element to it, some incentives to get your buddies and your friends into it. But price has not been doing really well. It's if you take a look at some of the charts here, like the Banker X token has really just kind of slowly kind of come down, and you can see the volume has really fizzled out. So even with the Banker token, you're kind of seeing the same thing. And I think that we've seen the prices of those come down and then shoot up massively in value from the history of different times. Like right now, it's sitting at about one TRX per one Banker X. It's 1.119. So it's been as high as like 25. And I think that if we saw more people come into Bankroll, perhaps because of some new project that was bringing people in, you might see a price rise, or if there was more utility where it's perhaps bridged over to the Binance Smart Chain to add some value that way. I don't know enough about that to really speculate on it too much, but it's been like my stronghold position has been pretty profitable. Every time I come in here, I'm number 3 on the list. But like my Tron, my stronghold position has been one where refresh this here. So I got $128 in divs in there, and so obviously I'm a much bigger holder. And you can see like my stack here. I got 73 and a half bucks in Banker tokens. So like I think those, like if you were going to look at some long-term plays and you were you believed in the bankroll ecosystem, those could be some pretty good projects to get in on, while it's down in price, and perhaps as those build in the future, there might be a good play. If there's some more development behind the project, which I'm sure there will be at some point. So right now, like it's like Tron was one where, like, I mean, you had to freeze just a ton to get like free transactions. Like now it's becoming as expensive as Ethereum in terms of the fees. And so like I've got 20 almost over a quarter million Tron frozen, almost like $18,000 in Tron, and that's still not enough to cover the to getting free transactions on the blockchain. So it's I don't know if there will be updates to what's going on with Tron in the future, if they're gonna keep it this way, because it's pushed out a lot of what's happened on Tron, but it's one that's been in the top 10 for a long time, and I imagine that it's one that could easily come back with a new announcement or new development. So there's still, like, there's so much of a foundation to everything that's happened on Tron. I don't feel like it's one that should be discounted. You have the newer ones coming out that claim to improved on some of the stuff that we've seen. I guess that's kind of what I'm looking at. There's some other projects, so I'll kind of go through some of the other projects I'm in. Like Divs is another one that I'm I've got a pretty big. The glare on that's pretty bad. Divs is another project that just recently paid out quite a bit. It is one it's a little bit more of a slow earner. It would have helped to have gotten in on the the kind of the ICO phase when it originally launched, but the price of the token is still relatively cheap, and I think it's one again that you can get in on a token with a lower price with massive upside. So that's one. If this exchange starts to get a lot more volume in it, that's going to be one that's going to pay out quite a bit in divs by being a staker in that. So I think that there's a lot of these projects on, or I guess there's a lot of projects that have been in communication with Mike, and Mike's been reaching out to a lot of projects. So it's been one that's starting to integrate on some of these, and I think it's one that as there's more as more people know about it, it's going to be one that will have more potential behind that. UME is one that has a lot that has been in their some of their farming. Like, I got into their farming, and there's a couple of guys that have done really well in the farming the farming of this. Like, you can kind of come into here a little bit, so like you can see that they have some pretty high APYs on some of these like lower nor name tokens, so you're going to be risking a lot of impermanent loss on those. But some of these other ones are in the 200s, on the high 100s. I'm currently staking UME, so like I'm making a little bit on that. I would be interested in getting a little bit more into their yield farming on some of these pairs, and slowly starting to build those up over time. One of the things about that is you got to get back in every 2 weeks or so. So like I've got a spreadsheet, and I keep the dates on when I'm gonna have to go and update those and whatnot. So it's a good option with yield farming. There's the T2X project, which has still been around, still developing. So like I've got some longer stakes in here. I don't know how well you can see this, but they're updating a few things. They've got a few staking projects, like with the T2X, the V2X. So I don't have a huge position in that one, but it's one that I'm going to continue to kind of watch and perhaps build my position over time, because they're proving to me that could be a viable, long-term, sustainable project on Tron. It was massively profitable when it first came out. Now, not so much. There was one that I wanted to kind of mention. Is like I found this one project. I'll show you this, guys. So I was in Just Swap, and if you look at like the top trading pairs, at one point there was one that was at number 3 position, which was this one right here, this OSK to TRX, and they also had this Fist to TRX. These were too high, and I was like, what are these projects? And if you go into these a little bit more in depth, it's been really bullish. Like I was in it like right down here, and I think I sold out like somewhere around here or something, and it is just continuing to pump. And it's like if you do a little digging on it, it's like a Chinese like video media project that has this like DAO in a sense with the either the OSK token or the Fist token. But there's a lot of incentives in like the Chinese communities to provide liquidity on Just Swap, and so you're just seeing that continue to go up and up and up. Like you can see that here, like the liquidity has just been massive on that project and continuing to go up. So I might get back in that project, especially if like maybe it takes a little bit of a dip, which it looks like it did. Like what was that, about 6 days ago? It took a pretty big dip. But that was one that was kind of interesting. Like I think that there's always like kind of some of these smaller projects you can test out a little bit by throwing some money at it. I don't know anything about this Tron case. I imagine it's similar to like a basically an hourglass contract. It says it has like when I was looking at this, let's see if I can find it. Yeah, I'm not seeing it, but they've got like a referral affiliate program, and it's number 1 on DApp radar. Looks like it came about kind of mid-February. I mean, it's number 1 in Tron, so I don't know how safe that project is, because typically what I like to do is go to DeFi audits and see if they've reviewed the project for perhaps like backdoors or anything of that, and they haven't taken a look at this project yet, which I'm surprised. Like they're perhaps not looking at some of those as much as they had in the past. There's Hexy T is a one that's by the Hexy project, connected to the Hexy token on Tron, and you have the staking. I gotta come in here and like come into my wallet here. So like I'm staking a little bit here, and it's a small payout, but I think that there might be some upside potential with that as more development from the Hexy ecosystem, because they're coming out with like a gold token that looks very promising. That seems to be where their focus is at the moment. So that might be a good one. I'm just kind of putting a little bit into these and kind of testing the waters, and those are the projects primarily that I'm on Tron at this point. Like I got a few others, like I was in the Just Game one and a few others. I'm only in Win and Tron Pad. Let me check out, let's see how Wink is doing. I know like Wink, I don't think is, it's been around a long time, but the daily active users is down. This used to be a lot higher. Let's see if I can get that to focus a little bit better. Yeah, 515. So I'd like to see that a little bit higher. But when I'm looking at these lists, and these are kind of just some of the ones I'm looking at, I'm not seeing as much. Like you have like Sun, you have some staking on Just Swap, you have some opportunities for some, you know, smaller returns. And so I think that perhaps maybe that's what we'll see with Tron, is that it's going to be one where, you know, you can get into some different projects that have anywhere between like a 50 to like 250 APY, which is still not bad. But you know, it's not what you might see on some of the other ones that might be a little more high risk. But it can be pretty safe play. Like I have all of that Tron that's frozen, and that's earning me. Let's see. Well, let me go back to my Tron so I can show this. So you know, like you're voting. I don't know. Let's see. This is not focusing all that well. This part is like there. Yeah. So I've got 410 Tron. That's you know, ready to withdraw. And let's see if I can pull up. You know, yeah. So it's like refocus this. Oh, my camera. $26. So I got $26 in Tron from freezing there. So not crazy returns. I think it's like 0.02, 0.03%. So pretty low, but safe, secure. Another form of passive income. You know, that $26 will pay for my lunch here and coffee. What's going on, Money Machine? Binance is great staking. I haven't looked into that, honestly. I'd be curious to see kind of how their APYs compare to some of the other ones. Like if you look at Sun, like Sun is really low. Same thing with Just Swap. I think might be connected, but Sun, like staking, like I was staking. What was it? Jackpool Finance on Sun, and it was the returns were real low. I just ended up kind of selling out. The token price came down a little bit. I didn't do it as well on some of those, but like if I'm looking at Tron right now, like I think that UME has shown that they will continue to develop and they will continue to build on that. So that's one I think would be really good to get in for the yield farming into a few pairs. But you got to remember to like go back and check your account like every so often. I kind of like that aspect and feature because it's going to knock out people that aren't as active. You know, they want people to be active and engaged with the platform. So I see that as one. I mean, if you look at the returns, there are some good pairs. I mean, if you know, Doge, UME, if you want to take a little gamble on some of these, a lot of them are paired. You know, with UME, you have some that are not paired. You know, you can get into a Doge TRX 225. That looks like a really good one. Honestly, I probably would want to get into that. Now, when you get into these, well, it doesn't say there's a fee, but there was one. I don't know. Maybe it's a UME. Usually there was like a 2 or 3% fee. Maybe they did away with that. So yeah, I'm sure there's better opportunities on Matic, and I need to do more research on those projects. I mean, I was in Tron for so long. It's hard for me to look past, you know, all of the money that I've got invested and just spread on all these different projects, and it's still earning me a little bit. You know, I'm still pulling a few $100, you know, out of these every day, so I can't complain too much. I know a lot of people ended up just selling out, but I think bankroll will the price will come back at some point. I think it, you know, is bottoming, and there's ways to earn passively. Like if you're in the banker token, you can earn through stack, but you got to look at it as a long-term play because it's going to be 10% in, 10% out. But I mean, I was holding on to a lot of banker tokens, and I didn't want to sell at the prices that they were at, and so I threw everything into stack, and now, you know, I can just sell off my profits, you know, on that, and the longer that you're in, you know, the better you're going to do on that. So that's my strategy with stack. Stronghold can be another one. I mean, that is got you know, money that's flowing into it from all different aspects of bankroll. So, you know, having a little bit of a holding in that can be really good as well. And then if the banker price recovers, that